All right, what's going on, everybody? So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the financial markets as well as some of the things that you've been seeing recently and what's about to come up. I've talked about before how we are living in a time for which we are not in full control of our financial systems. And so the private Western Central Bank, the banks, the hedge funds, market makers, even government entities, SEC, and many people, they have control over things that we as individual investors, as people, don't. And that's because of the fact that we've been pegged to the fiat system, an arbitrary currency that's not pegged to the gold standard or any other tangible item, but to the select few that have control over what is the monetary policy, fiscal policy, and other economic levers that people pull to sort of gain control over recession or inflation or different avenues, right? And so the last few days, we've been at consecutive negatives, and it's actually a bloodbath. And we're in a time now for which, specifically for, I think, the NASDAQ, it's and soon to be the Dow Jones and the S&P, it'll be lower in its value than when the resident took office. So you have to think about that. So that's negative growth. We're approaching probably another day or two, if it gets even lower, we'll be lower than any other time during the last year and a half or more. And so this has not happened before in the sense that there's been negative growth ever since somebody, quote unquote, took office. And so again, I'm not gonna speak to that. You guys know my thoughts there. But I believe all of this is being done as an optics thing under the watch of this person, such that a lot of the people would wake up. And so we're in a time now for which, if you have lived any amount of time investing, doing financial, investing, any of these things, you would know that you're not living in a place for which you have control over things, and that there are backdoor dealings, manipulations, whatever it is, and all the activities at the SEC, the banks, the market makers, the hedge funds, they're all coming to a head. And this entire banking system, as we've seen over the last few years, is straining under the weight of this massive liquidity injection, among many other things, right? So the money printing, the M1 supply, what we've seen during COVID from the Fed, you have margin debt at all-time highs, you got banks, hedge funds leveraged up like no other, money market funds are failing, and you combine that with the massive activity for the overnight reverse repos approaching or greater than $1 trillion now, and all these collateral requirements that people are trying to balance their books with, and all of this imminent liquidity crisis that's happening right now. And so if this is foreign language to you in the financial sense, that's fine. But even in the trading itself, you have FTDs, dark pools, this payment for order flow, naked short selling. These are big topics that the regular everyday investor is starting to look at. You have communities like Reddit and all these communities trying to investigate all these different things behind the scenes, right? And you have the DTC and many other organizations preparing for massive defaults and bankruptcies based on some of their rules that they've passed over the last year or so, and even banks opening netting accounts and things like that. And so we're going to be breaking the buck, right? Similar to 2008. And so you have even members of Congress now calling to audit the Fed. What is the Fed doing? Like, where does the money go, right? Nobody knows, right? Nobody's audited the Fed before. You got BlackRock and Vanguard basically owning the world right now, buying up real estate, doing all these different things, and who knows what, right? So they're all part of this, I don't know, syndicate, if you want to call it, this global banking elite, everybody owning, a small group of people owning the world, basically. And so you have this issue of them controlling the financial systems, the fiat system, and it's not pegged to something tangible like what we had with the gold standard. And so I'm here to say, guys, that things are in a place for which it looks like it's buckling. It looks like it's not gonna bode well for the economy. And I think all of this is being done because we are at the end of this system that we've, for many decades, relied upon. And so you have massive inflation, you have just this overvaluing of our dollar, you have all these different things happening. And now we are at a point for which this has to sort of reset itself. And so people talk about the Great Reset and many other things. But we're in a time now for which I believe, and I've said this prophetically before, that there's going to be great wealth transfers, massive wealth transfers. We're going to get the power back in a sense, right? We're going to have control over the money and government supplies and things like that, such that the small group of people, they're not going to have this control anymore. And so God has allowed it such that it has to crash. It has to buckle in a sense so that it could be brought in, the new system. And this new system, hopefully, and I don't know, I don't claim to know what it is, but if the patriots or good guys are there on the sidelines waiting to bring this in and to usher it in, it's going to be great for the people. It's going to be great for inflation and fighting it. It's going to be great for controlling the value of the dollar or whatever financial currency. And so I don't know where crypto might come in, right? Cryptocurrency and many other things like gold and silver and things like that. But what's happening now is a very imminent crash, a decoupling, and a loss of control over these systems. And it's going to be relinquished back to the people. And so I believe it. I believe prophetically, as the Lord was showing me last year. I was talking about several dreams I had where things went up and then crashed and then only to be reset again, and many things happening in the financial world. And so you're going to see some turmoil in some sense. You're going to see some more, up and down, some crashing before things get better. And so I believe it has to happen in this way, and the people have to be awakened to this. And so many people are finding out that it is not what it seems to be. It is not in the control of the people. And so God, the stuff has to happen in such a way where God is opening up people's eyes, and then they can come to their conclusion of who really controls things. And then from there, an outcry, a fight that people need to have to be able to retain control over this private central banking system and what we have today as we know it, as this economy that we live in. And so again, guys, a lot of things are happening. Again, I'm not trying to give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I want to give that disclaimer, but I'm giving you some thoughts. And I believe that God is working in the midst of all of this, and you'll see good things come out of it. And so God bless you guys. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.